What up, what up, what up? Pryme.mega, new trees represented to the fullest. Trees up. What's good with y'all? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's good out there as we transition to spring. The weather's getting less and less harsh. And at this point, I believe we're out of snow's range. I guess I dare say that, right? But anyway, yeah, just checking in. I don't know, lately I've been like doing a lot of reading and thinking, taking a lot of notes, just writing down like all my thoughts, I've been like, I can feel like my creative energy is there, but it's just not time. I feel like God is sitting me to the side for a moment, so that I could to reflect on some things. Like I said, just been reading books and stuff, ordering more books and stuff like that. But what I wanted to say was, there are going to be some things that are meant for your eyes only, for you to see, for you to interpret and articulate for your own self. And there are going to be times in which God speaks to you, pulls you to the side, and wants to have a conversation in one way or another, maybe again through books, through just, I don't know, through whatever inspiration or vessel he chooses to reach you through. And, from experience, I've been through a few of these, I guess you can call seasons. Seasons in which I can feel that I'm about to be empowered and leveled up in some capacity. And they always say, I've heard this saying, that you should never look at any situation as good or bad. Actually, in the recent interview, the GQ interview that Jay-Z had the other day, he said no situation, nothing happens to you, it happens for you, which is a perfect way of putting that. Like, that is very true. We tend to be, when we feel like we're down on our luck, things happen to us, you're like, oh man, come on. You know what I mean? But it's happening for you. Some things transition beyond what you can even see. At the time, you're like, man, I needed this to happen. And then you look back and you be like, man, I'm glad that happened, because if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here, at a whole nother level, I can see things from a whole different perspective. It's things, have to happen that way. You'd have to trust in the power of the one above, you know what I'm saying? So, and back to, again, some things only you can see, it's like somebody sitting next to you. Did you see that? You can articulate to them as close as possible, almost like drawing a picture, and they still be like, no, I don't get it. I don't see it, because it's not meant for them to see. It's for your eyes only, for your spirit, for your heart, for your soul only to absorb and process. It's like he's, giving you spiritual medication, spiritual vitamins, some things you've been lacking in lately, And like I said, from experience now, I know exactly what this is, and I welcome it. I welcome it because he never has steered me wrong, and I know will never steer me wrong. There's another passage I read. There's a book called, if you're not familiar, The Hip Hop Gospel. Is written by KRS-One, one of my favorite MCs. And I go back to this. It's written just like a Bible. Like, it's got verses. It's broken down into, it's sectioned off the same way. It's really cool how it is like written, and it's really dope. I've had it for like 16 years. I think because I got it in 2010, back when I got laid off. And I did a whole lot of reading, and that was one of my favorite books. One of my books that I still have around, because I've loaned books out, and some are still missing. But that's one of my favorites. I keep it with me. Today I don't have it because I actually read it this morning and I left it on my table, but I read it quite frequently, and then sometimes more often than others, but I've been reading a lot from it. And lately, I've been going through this section. I go through sections that I didn't catch or didn't understand at the time. Just wasn't meant to understand them at the time. But there is a section where he mentions that there are things that we are meant to see as individuals, and then there's a difference between spirit beings and human beings. And some of us dwell only in the insight of human beings, and our spectrum is electromagnetic, and it vibrates slower as human beings. We perceive things not as much as a spiritual being would, or we tend to cater to things that are lower than, where the spirit is about rising, ascending. And so that vibration is vibrating so fast and so high that human beings don't interpret that the same way, or may be able not even to see it at all. You know, the rendering is different. You know, it's almost like trying to see 3D information in 4D. It's not going to translate very well. But you know, without getting too deep, these are the things that have been on my heart. Like I said, I'm someone who is I would like to say that I'm a visionary. I can see things, which probably helps my producer, musician, artist foresight, my ear, you know, and the things that I see, my creative edge is that I see things that some people don't see at the moment, but they do eventually. I'm blessed that I can give them a picture that they, you know, if we stick together long enough, we work on a project long enough, the vision does come, you know. But I've learned to trust in the things that I see personally for myself I've learned a long time ago. It's never been, I can honestly say that it's never been weird to me. It's always been a natural approach when I felt the Lord pulling me to the side to see something or to hear something or to feel something. It's never been like, what was that? It's never been that, you know. It's always been in a way, in such a form that it was one of comfort. It was an approach that I understood, and not in an alarming way. And I that's been happening ever since I can remember as a child, but I really started honing into it as a teenager. You know, I always tell my mom, you know, we laugh all the time. I was like, I never wanted to get older. I knew what it was to be an adult. I never wanted to never wanted to be older than 16. 16 was like, all the lights came on for me. Like musically, talent-wise, I just started like understanding stuff on a whole nother level. And I remember having these intuitions and really like having the skills and the tools to begin to dissect the messages and inspiration. So I began to convert it into music form. And, you know, because vibration and frequency are on certain levels, you know, certain levels of vibration and frequency are lower and higher. I used to play this. I don't even know what the key is. All my beats, my cousin would tell me, you know, rest in power to my cousin Darnell. He used to tell me like, yo, all your beats sound the same. But in hindsight, I was in this key, in this vibration, this frequency, whatever you want to call it. I used to stay, bass lines, everything was the same, because that's the inspiration that I was drawing upon. Not that I couldn't do anything or make a different sound. It's just I was stuck in this particular note, this frequency, and I was just interpreting what I was being given at the time, you know. And like I said, in hindsight, it makes perfect sense, because even today, like, it's some of my favorite chords and keys to play. You know, I've become more clever enough to be able to mask it with different sound choices, or structured different, but it still be in the same key, you know. And I saw an interview, I think it was Manny Fresh, a while back, and he said that some of his some of his favorite beats are in the same key. Like they're the same key, but just manipulated the same way. I believe that was Manny Fresh. And I'm like, man, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only producer, musician, artist that has that go-to key that I'd be stuck in. You know what I mean? That I'd be like, I can't get away from it. You know, I'll make a beat totally different over here, but this is what's drawing me in right now. It's actually gotten, I won't say bad, but it's actually gotten that, I will say, I guess, it's actually gotten that bad that even when I was making a song, I would actually write it to the key that I was drawn to, and then later in post-production, switch it to the other beat. Just to mix it up, you know what I'm saying? Because I know, you know, knowing what people want to hear and stuff like that, but I had to write and record to what was motivating me. You know, was that frequency, you know, that higher self, that spiritual being side of myself, you know what I'm saying? So, but again, I say all that to say, you know, you get these intuitions, you get these visions, you get these thoughts, and these feelings, you know, just, you know, walk towards it, because it's going to improve you. It's not to scare you. It's not to alarm you. It's just God reaching out in a way that he feels he's got your full attention, you know? So, but that's it, man. I just wanted to, you know, tap in with y'all. Comment below. You know what I mean? It's your boy Pryme.mega. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed day. Let's get it, y'all. Trees up.